Hello everyone, my name is Victoria. Welcome to my book empire. Today we're going to talk about the books I read in June and July. I know I'm being late as usually. Please don't judge me, don't ask me questions, just accept that I'm being late. At least I'm still making these videos. I'm doing my best to keep up with this channel. And June and July were quite strange regarding books because almost every book I read was weird in one way or another, but I still want to talk about them, so let's dive in. Before telling you about the books I read, I want to mention one that I DNFed, and not because it was a bad book, only because I was not in the right mood for it and it was not what I was expecting from this book. I don't usually recommend books that I didn't finish because obviously I didn't like them, but this one I feel like many people might really love, so I want to recommend it. It's called Promise at Dawn by Romain, French author, and it's an autobiographical novel depicting the author's love to his mother, how huge, sincere, and endless it was, despite that she wasn't a very good personality, she wasn't a perfect mom, she made a lot of mistakes, and she wasn't always doing everything for her son. A lot of the times she was thinking more about herself, and even the things she did for her son were not always right. But her son loved her no matter what, and later in his life, a lot of the things he did were inspired by his mother and were dedicated to her memory. I listened to only 10% of this book, but this is what I noticed, this is what I felt. This was very much a French style writing, like funny and sad at the same time. So if this sounds like something interesting to you, you might really try to read this one. Now let's move on to the books I finished. The first one was the book I stumbled upon in the library. There are not that many books in Ukrainian or Russian, so I read a couple reviews on the back because there was no synopsis there. It sounded intriguing to me, sounded like a very good start for the summer, so I grabbed it and started reading it without really knowing what to expect. And it's called Brazil by John Updike. First, I can say this was the oddest book I have ever read in my life, and that's why it's kind of difficult for me to evaluate it somehow. I still didn't give it any rating on Goodreads because I still don't understand how I feel about that book. It represents a love of an 18-year-old upper-class white girl and 19-year-old poor black guy, which starts really weirdly and then progresses, and we see how many things they have to go through to be together. A lot of those things were bizarre, especially the one at the end that was kind of a sprinkle of magical realism to this book, and it felt really hot. Like I felt as if I visited Brazil myself. Also because the reality of Brazilian society of that time was shown pretty well. And I also liked that the characters are going through a great personal growth, and they do change a lot throughout the book. There were so many things in this book that I might actually forget a couple of them, but let me tell you the ones I remember. There was class inequality, parental disapproval, brutality, murders, kidnapping, indigenous people and shamans, infidelity, and a lot of sex and erotical descriptions. But let me tell you, they were not as pleasant as in modern romances. They felt kind of dirty and not in the best way, if you know what I mean. It was not as pleasant to read those scenes, to be honest. The writing was quite dense too, but despite this, I finished the book really fast. So I cannot say if I want to recommend this book. If everything I said before sounded interesting to you, of course, give it a try. But it's definitely not for everyone. I'll probably give it 3 or 4 stars because I did like it. There was something special about this book. but it definitely was the oddest one I have read so far. If you read this book, please go to the comments and tell me your opinion, because I don't know a single person who read it. It's not that popular, but I do find it unique. So if you read it, please let's talk about it in the comments. The next book is also by a French author, and the name is not translated into English, so please forgive me if I pronounce that incorrectly. It's called Bonjour, Tristesse by Françoise Sagan. I started reading that book as soon as I got it because it was a summer book recommendation from one of the bloggers, and I was really excited about this one, but unfortunately it did not meet my expectations. This is a story about a 17-year-old Cecile who spends summer on French Riviera with her charming, wealthy father who has a girlfriend but who doesn't have any traditional morals. It explores the feelings of this young girl, her sexual awakening, her growing up as a woman, and also love, jealousy, and freedom from different perspectives. The author also shows really well how the actions that we do have consequences all the time, and moreover, one person does something, it has consequences for multiple other people. The tone of the book is also very light and effortless, which matches its Riviera setting, and it would be a great summer read for sure, because they also spend a lot of the time just swimming and chilling on the beach, like most of the book. Françoise Sagan wrote this novel when she was 18 years old, and she spent only 6 weeks, which is impressive. It was also scandalous at the time, but for me, unfortunately, it was lacking something. Maybe for people of the age closer to the main character's age, it would be great and they might love it, but I am too old for it, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. For the next one, I finally have a physical copy, because first one I got in the library, the second one I sold because I didn't like it, and the third one I liked. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Let's talk about it. And that is Heartless by Elsie Silver, a second book in Chestnut Spring series. I liked it more than the first one. It follows Red's older brother Cade, who is a single dad, and he has a 5-year-old son, and as he has a lot of work to do, he needs to find someone to take care of his son, and that someone appears to be Summer's best friend, Willa. Summer and Red are the main characters of the first book. I liked Willa's character a lot. Her humor, her banter, her attitude, and her personality in general, really liked her. And Cade, on the other side, was not my favorite because the way he behaved might seem cool in the beginning of the relationship, might even turn a girl on, but in a long-term perspective, not so cool in my personal opinion. The way, like, from one side we see how much he loves her, and sorry, that's not a spoiler, it's a romance, we know where it goes. From one side we see how much he loves her, and at the same time the way he speaks to her, not acceptable for me. So didn't really like him. I also could not believe that that kind of love could happen as quickly as it did happen here. It seemed overly staged and unrealistic to me, but overall I did enjoy the book, and I also think there was just right amount of steam in this book. There was also the found family here, the same as in the first one, and that little kiddo, really liked him, because I have a 16 months old right now, but I have a nephew. I remember him at age 5. I know these kids might be really funny, so I actually realized I like a single dad trope in the books. It was my first one with this trope. It was also the book that really made me laugh a lot, because I did mention that I liked Willa's humor a lot, and she made me laugh. in this book, so I definitely still recommend the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. The next book, hear me out, I DNF'd at 65%. Am I happy about that? Yes, I am, because in my mid-year check-in video, I said that I want to learn how to DNF books that I don't like. So this is a great achievement for me, because 65%, you know, like I spent a lot of time for this book, but I did not like it, even after 65%, so I decided not to finish. It's called Mr. Wilder and Me by Jonathan Coe. When I started this book, I didn't even know that it was about a real person. So if you're like me, just know that Billy Wilder is a real filmmaker, and another character here, his friend, is a screenwriter who worked with him in tandem. So it is about real people. The narrator, a girl, main character here, is not a real person though, and the film they're working on here is also not existing. So as I read 65% of the book, I feel I have the right to tell you my opinion about it. The book is about how they are working on this film and not about that filmmaker as I was expecting. This book did not awake any emotions in me. I was not loving it, I was not hating it, it was not annoying, it was not surprising, it was not making me cry, it was just neutral. It was not interesting for me at all. I was not excited about what's coming next. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, I don't compare this book to modern thrillers or any other book that has a lot of plot twists. I do read classics, and I know that a book can be slow, but still the plot can be interesting. The classic books I read are not as boring as this one. When I realized that the plot is boring, this is the book where you actually understand this from the very beginning. So when I understood that it's not gonna be more interesting or more dynamic, I thought maybe it's gonna teach me something. Maybe I will learn more about filmmaking, about this particular filmmaker, but no, not the case. Yes, there were facts about Billy Wilder here and there, but they were just unimpressive. Maybe because the person is not appealing to me, maybe because the topic is not my cup of tea, but I was not engaged in this book at all. I don't want to say it was bad, but it was bad. It was bad for me. It was just extremely boring. I know Jonathan Coe has a lot of other books on other topics, so if you have read any books by him, please recommend me one, because I think it's not about the author, not about his writing style, it's about the topic and the person this book is about. So I'm ready to give Jonathan Coe another chance and would really appreciate any recommendations from you. Also, if you read this book and liked it, let me know why. Ooh, the next book is, again, a very unique one and a very surprising one. It did surprise me a lot in the end. I don't want to tell you much about it because I believe the less you know, the more you will like it. It's called Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. It's about Piranesi, who lives in this enchanted house, which is actually the world, and he believes nothing else exists. He doesn't have any memory of being out of this world, and he's also not sure that Piranesi is his real name. There is this other person who lives in this house. They meet twice a week for an hour-long appointment to search for a mysterious knowledge. And at some point of this book, you just start realizing that something is 100% wrong here. I know this description is very vague and doesn't give you the image of what the book is actually about, but you just need to read this book to understand it. You know, I cannot tell you much. And I don't want to tell you much because it will just spoil everything. When I started this book, I did not understand what was going on, where I was, where it all is leading. My head was like a whole question mark, and when I watched a couple videos afterwards, I was happy to see that everyone feels the same. So if you feel confused during the first 100 pages, no, you're not alone. No, it will get better. No, you will get all the answers to all of your questions, but they might not satisfy you. I truly believe that this book is not for everyone. Not everyone will like it, not everyone will understand it, and the ending will not impress everyone. It might really disappoint you. You will get the answers, but maybe not the ones that you expect. I know many readers love vivid descriptions of the house, but honestly, they did not click with me that much, as well as the book in general. The plot was engaging. It was really interesting to read, but I believe mostly because you didn't understand what the point was and where it was all going. So it was a 3 stars for me, not something I want to reread, but something I want to recommend because it was a unique experience and I enjoyed reading it. I don't regret reading it. So overall, I would recommend, I think. The last book I read in July was Night in Lisbon by Erich Maria Remarque. And with Erich Maria Remarque, it's the same as with Jane Austen for me. You know exactly what to expect from his books and you always get what you expect. In this case, nothing positive. I read 2 or 3 books by this author and I find them quite depressing. It's a historical fiction set during World War II. It follows 2 refugees during the course of one night, where one tells his story to another one and how he got to the point where he is right now. So actually it follows one of the characters and his life before this point in the present. The story is full of love and sadness, fear and determination, loss, survival, and hope, all at the same time. The atmosphere in the book is very heavy, and Remarque shows very well how difficult it is to live during war times and to make choices when you are a refugee during war times, and how desperate those choices can be. It's not gonna become one of my favorite books because the narration and the dialogues seemed quite dry for me and it made the book a little bit boring, but it's still an excellent piece of historical wartime fiction. These were all of the books I read in June and July. I know it's not that many, like not 10 or 20 books per month, but I'm happy I can still read at least something. Thank you for watching this video till the end, for supporting me, liking and commenting this video. I will be also very happy to see you as my new subscriber. The August wrap-up will be more emotional because I have read very good and very bad books so far. So I will see you in the next video. Bye!